For turn 16, there is lots of movement as always, especially up in the Bricklands.
Yes, if we want to start over at Brick, just to change things up. So, what we have happening here is a very interesting use of the midpoint system. So, what Brick, Erewhon, and Soap have been doing at this point is they figured out that they can time all their attacks to happen on the end step by having a midpoint. Since all your steps, essentially your steps are divided into 10, as has been previously mentioned,
Yep.
but with the midpoint, you all essentially link up essentially for the end steps. So
Hmm.
that way there's no way to really counterattack or not be included in the battle. Brick is also being surrounded, and we also have more cases of pop-up defenses with pop-up yards. Four
Yeah,
of
oh
them.
yeah, all these emergency defenses.
So the Blue River Defense Facility is being attacked by Frank Exchange of Views, and we also get in the Brick HQ, or New Bond City is being attacked. We get some funny roleplay consequences, but due to the sheer fragility of level 4 semiconductors, a lot of the aims are achieved by doing enough damage.
Yeah, simply
Since the
having a
aims,
battle is likely to destroy a semiconductor facility, if it's at all an aim.
yes, since what Erewhon is looking for is to reduce brick down to one or two level 4 semiconductors and then begin redistributing the semiconductors to everyone. So this can be achieved by simply having a big enough combat here. And I remember there being a lot of pain with some river defenses.
Yes, so all of these defenses got put in a river because these cities are on a river. And so they had underwater missile launchers that were
They
harder to
also,
hit as well because they're in the slope sides of a river.
yes, and there's also problems with the faction designs. So Erewhon, Mahabra, they're both primarily aircraft based, and thanks to the location of these cities, whereas Sword of Ecclesiarch does have boats, they're not using them here because of the river, and these are all inland, and boats are slower,
Yep, and
which means
also
they,
there's a bunch of mines down here that I assume they were aware of
yeah, there's a
near the
bunch of
mines.
mines as well in the river, which has stopped the more conventional way of sorting out those underwater defenses or fighting back with potentially a submarine, which means there's a lot of design constraints that are favoring the defender for once. And Brick isn't a slouch. They have a lot of money. They have as well a massive pop-up fleet, which you can barely see, of
UAV
UAV
4
4,
probably.
alongside a bunch of their prospectors joining in. The
Hmm.
other important thing to note about Brick, and again, dealing with the quote unquote missile meta, is that Brick is limited in firepower to basically pure missiles.
Yes, they picked a special perk that let them be able to change their missile configuration after leaving port, which normally you shouldn't change your blueprints after you've done that. But they could do
Yes.
that, and in exchange, they were limited to a certain amount of firepower of any other weapon type. It was like 5 or 10 firepower.
Yes, which led to quite a few interesting brick designs. Of my opinion, and perhaps one of my most favorite is the Brick Ghost,
Yeah, the Ghost was a flying
which
blimp that was pretty cool.
is a flying blimp. But most importantly, Lambs doesn't add to firepower. So while Lambs is volume inefficient, it was discounted, and because we were making so many semiconductors, they could afford to have a Lambs system
Yes, because
and
lasers
then
are
pair it
like
with
a
missiles.
fraction of the cost if you have unlimited semiconductors, which they did.
Yes, which was really cool design and was very interesting to see how that actually came to play,
Hmm.
especially with the there was also a lot of leptons or lepton likes or the unceremonious name of I won't say it, but
Yeah.
of essentially really tiny craft with maybe a missile or two that are really hard to detect, which again, so was perhaps the most egregious in using, but Brick could also
Well, I would say
technically
Mabaraba
kill.
used more. I mean,
But
Soat had
I
some
mean,
similar
Mahabra
things.
and So both, I believe only Erewhon didn't have a lepton-like design, but even
Very
then,
true.
they had the warp detectors to just find to find other leptons in the first
Yeah.
place, which they built backwards. It was made at 2 a.m., so
Yeah,
it warped the wrong
you got
way.
to see a lot of improv designs that happened in
Yeah,
some of these later turns
so
with the high metas.
are achieving their strategic goals, which is actually something that's interesting to see for me personally, since a lot of the other strategic goals of people were simply to, I don't know, maim and control places, whereas this one is to take out specific targets. Going south, Midway is being built up even more as the Uma send over their ships, and more units from Brick get over there.
Yep, and it's also worth noting that the the neutral area pact requires that if a foreign entity attacks the island, everyone have a part of defending it, which will
Yes,
come in
which
later.
Mjolnir has a subject underneath it which has to join in of the Weespin, even though the player was given a choice on actually joining that or not.
And
We
note
will
that
also
Fissionistic
quickly go
Contingents is still around. They've got a little bit of land, and then their Wall of Ash has settled down over here.
yes, the Wall of Ash has finally landed. The bunnies have made their grand journey.
Oh,
And
yep.
after kicking
So,
at the
mill.
Sandstorm Horde and subsequently getting rid of one of their perks, effectively, the Sandstorm Horde is now sentient and passive and fully able to do trades, which is cool to see. And Brick will stop fighting them and start sending people over to save themselves at this point.
Yeah, it's
As
funny
the
seeing the
bunnies,
nations that have big fleets like on the edge of the map that are now trying to like send them home when they're finally needed
yep, and the bunnies alongside the city is moving
to the middle.
towards the hole. The Eye of Winter, which, we're only turned 16. There hasn't been archaeology's been slow thanks to the amount of actions and also life stuff that was happening for you.
Yep, for yeah, me and the other event help people.
And then we look over towards Tofupek, where Sector 7 finally joins in the war proper and captures basically the rest of that side.
Yep.
Of also of note
The
is,
the
I
remnants of
believe this,
Merlin and Remain's fleets withdraw, and
yes,
at this point or shortly after, they finally swap to a strategy of containment once they realize how difficult it'll be to defeat Miami and the Fist of Family Values.
yes. Next turn, they are going to put in a blockade.
Yes.
Ionia and Uldria are finally at peace. The Uber bioform
Are they
is
at peace
actually
or are they at
produced this
fighting?
turn.
I think
They're
they've.
peace. They're peace right now. I checked this. I double checked.
Okay.
So they're currently getting their units back into position, those two, while the Chorus Uber bioform is produced, the Leviathan,
Yep.
and is promptly smashed
By everyone who's
by,
around, and see all the fleets
but
that had left this turn but still were a part of that battle.
yeah, they were still a part of the fight, but had left. So it was still a multi-nation coalition. I think that's it for turn 16, actually.
Okay, so just the big battles with Brick and with the Leviathan.
So going to turn 17, most of the map is now filled with color rather than it being mostly,
True, just little bits of white left over here,
yep, just little bits of white left.
and in some
And
designated neutral areas.
Tofu has a bunch of forces placed upon it by, I need to remind you guys, Asnar and Sector 7 are different nations with very similar colors, which is
Yep.
why
Krasnar, Sector 7. Krasnar, Sector 7.
Krasnar Sector 7, Krasnar Sector 7, and they've now put a blockade on the eastern half of Tofupek as they now build up for the mega fight at Miami as the Fist of Family Values grows larger. Since although Tofupek doesn't have money, they physically can't have money because of their perk. They do have a lot of material production,
Mm-hmm.
and Miami is one ginormous material producer.
Yep.
And we can see a bunch of their units get produced there. Aldria and Iona are not at war this turn, but we can see there is a minor incident with the siege army in the first air fleet, out of which
That's a good point.
I helped arrange some spy actions with Ionia on Aldria and worked with the Aldrich player, Siren Happy, to produce a little storyline that was quite fun to witness pan out. We also, at mid-meta, finally get something to happen down here.
Oh,
Zaftra and
yes.
Eon last turn got word that there is some scout fleets arriving here. This was set up by Raycast. So Eon Hive and Zaftra engage in some combat with the Golden Wing,
Yep.
which is quite fun since there's also some by Rumelia and there's just the one by Eon.
Yep.
Further up north, we also have just the Senjo.
Which no one ever fought again. It's got to make an
No
appearance
one
in
ever
season
fought
3.
again. I told Raycast to set up some roleplay and make it maybe so that your Senjo goes towards someone to fight, but
Yeah.
no one did. And Raycast didn't do that, but we did at least set up the Golden Wing fleet.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
Golden
we
Wing
got
at least makes
something
some
there.
of those fights were fun.
Yeah. And now we finally get to Midway.
Yes, the death stack on Midway. Oh boy.
So my particular note for this involved a weapons thread death, but
Yes.
only on North Spoke.
The battle was so large that one of the threads on my computer that was presumably the one that was running the targeting for one side just crashed and stopped doing anything in the middle of the battle. And it took us like half an hour to notice that nothing was firing or nothing was hitting.
Yes, this was probably done because of multiple factors. One of them being Mahabra wasn't using sub objects, but was using sub-constructs
Sub-vehicles, yeah.
with its own AI on one of their fighter jets. There's also the sheer amount of redundant AI that are involved in these high meta designs, which are occupying all of this.
Yep. And
So
the battle was
despite
huge even without those lag machine factors, so it was
and
amazing that the battle ran at all.
it was further limited to only 4 million mats, I think. Like one of the first ones we limited in 4 million mats, and we still got this. All the fights afterwards were, and it was a huge aura loss for Era One. Uh,
Kind of was, yeah.
let down by So and Mahabharata alone.
Yep.
But they still achieved their strategic aims of destroying the level 4 semiconductors at Midway.
Yep. This is also a rare case
This,
of a map that had a bug that I did not fix in post. Emergency Strike FOB is meant
yeah,
to be up here.
yeah. There's a few things. We also have Neo Raythumpia over in Fic.
Oh, and that's a
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
which I think this was because Ray Thump was sponsoring or was giving money to have one of the cities renamed. I
I
don't
didn't
know
even know that.
exactly.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, we have Neo Refumpia now, which is glorious. I think that might have been there last turn, but yeah, it was. That's quite funny. Singular Coil is gearing up with three whole event fleets aimed at Mahabra.
And also notice some brick fleets that are moving here closer to Mahabra. I believe they'll be
Yep.
important later.
Okay. The bunnies are in the hole, I think, now,
Yes.
which I remember one of the spy actions being a bunny trips up and dies and breaks its neck, and the other one gets shot by a card to press a
Yes.
button.
Gotta love the spy actions.
Yep. They succeed in this, I'm pretty sure, despite these being actual mass drivers.
Yeah, they defeat the shielded mass drivers, which, fun fact, the boat did in fact make for the center to be the defenses, because I could not build anything that powerful. I'm not good enough at the game. But he volunteered to build those, and as the person knowing the tech to build them, he also knew the tech to defeat them. And
Yes.
he had some craft that just had I think the cram DPS to be able to punch through those, as well as some
Hmm.
other stuff to go alongside.
I would know that's too high meta for me, despite being in the medium high meta area. Uh,
Yep. So some more of his citizens died, but they did get through and were able to complete their game-long
Journey.
quest.
Yes, the game one quest. So I believe that wraps up turn 17. And then
Okay,
we go
on
into
to
turn
18.
18.
Oh, this is where it gets bad. Ah!
Oh yeah, sorry. To explain wireless squares, people weren't specifying what they were claiming at this point in the game. It's been going on so long.
Yeah.
And one of the players mentioned that if someone doesn't specify what they're claiming, they should just make it a square, which is why there's three big ugly squares claimed in brick.
Yep.
Also, Blue
Old
River
brick.
City Defense Facility is apparently Satan, since they've been struggling to defeat that or one of the brick places for a very long time,
Yeah.
thanks to the river and the various combination of factors. So Northern Spoke is losing their mental capacity, and the game's been going on for so long.
Yep. The factions we're kind of wanting to be done at this point,
Yeah.
and we'll get a
Plus,
negotiated settlement soon. Now that the semiconductor factories are out.
it doesn't help again that Era One is effectively untouched if we look at them.
Yep.
While they're not using the whole city capacity, just the size.
The cities keep getting bigger and bigger every time. Like Ephemera is huge
Ephemera is a
compared to
black
everyone
spot
else.
on the map
Yeah.
compared to everyone else who is like dots rather than, an entire spot is smudged out.
Yep.
We have a bunch of event fights going on. It's all the Ecclesiarch. I
Yep.
believe there's an accidental intercept by a bunch of things
Yeah.
over Erewhon trying to go help Mahabra.
Oh yeah. So yeah, here we do actually see Mabaraba does get defeated. What does it? Shoot, I can't remember. It gets left behind. I thought it got defeated, but it may not have. I can't remember if
I'm
the
pretty sure it did.
yeah. So the capital of Mabaraba actually got
Yeah, Mahabra got absolutely bricked, so to
yeah.
speak.
Actually, well, they hit Mabaraba and the throne. I at least one of them
Yeah,
fell. I don't think both did. I don't remember which
not
one was which
both.
though.
The Throne Ecclesiarch was fine, but I
Okay.
believe Mahabra itself was occupied for.
And then one of these turns as well, someone got intel on a submarine group, one of the UUVs. I don't remember which one. Maybe the one that was down
Yes,
here.
They were believing that it was a bunch of submarine like
Leptons.
s- leptons, so they prepared accordingly and then got jump scared by giant submarine.
Yeah, so they did a spy action to try to determine what they were, and their spy got a natural one. So I'm like, okay, you're gonna get bad intel. Submarine leptons, despite the fact that they were like 3 or 4 big subs. And so they send a dragon swarm that's so awful that my PC cannot run like the game runs at 100th speed at best, and the whole battle's just awful. And they
I
are
all I'm
justified, sure, because they thought it was lepton spam, and that's, I guess, the counter to it. But that was also part of the reason for the limited size battle rules and limiting rammer craft too.
Yes, North Spoke alone is responsible for the limitations that are now placed in the future of the game.
Yep.
Primarily due to that's not very fun to watch, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. Which also kind of went towards Brick in a sense, since we much prefer having a larger craft to be fighting rather than a
Yeah.
bunch of smaller ones, even if it does look cool. So Melee got completely gutted. Drills were limited because
Yep.
originally it was like 20 or so drills, which people were just not very capable of dealing with,
Mm-hmm.
since drills have a lot of hit points and they were very cheap in terms of resources for TPD.
Yep, and they're not detection dependent either a lot of the time
Yes, since that's the reason why they used Melee to detect Lepton, so to speak, since Melee just has omniscience in that regard.
because they're navigation,
Um,
not targeting. So, but yeah,
yep.
counterattacks hit the 2 lesser members of the Northern Spoke, while
Hmm.
Brick's main holdings got gutted, but Blue River Defense held for this turn.
Yes.
And
And
then moving on probably to Tehuapec next.
yep, Tehuapec. This is the turn the war actually closes out. So this is the
Yeah.
last turn of combats, if there are any. And we can see Sector 7's all over them, and Krasnar, but Krasnar's under Sector 7. And what ends up happening is that Sector 7 ends up puppeting Tofupec and clearing the war with the Commonwealth after one last fight. I
Yes. Do you remember those fights, or should I take them?
Can you take them?
Yeah. So there was a fight against blockade breakers where like some of the fleets ran aground and there was shenanigans and terribleness there. And then Miami, Krasnar brought in nukes, and the nukes went to negligible effect and were more
No, it
counterproductive than
was
anything.
worse than that.
Yeah.
What happened with the nukes is that they went towards Krasnar and nuked themselves.
Yeah. So not the
So it
most
wasn't negligible
effective.
effect, it was actually detrimental.
Yeah.
By the way, in testing afterwards, they worked normally.
Yeah, so it's hard to say if that was very unique to that situation or if it was just the battle got so large things got buggier and less reliable.
Yes.
But either way, that was at that point the attacking alliance realized that there was no way they were going to win this, and it was better off just to settle.
Yes. So we finally settled after turn 8 war, by the way. So it's been a 10-turn war.
Yep.
Um, so we finally settled there. And then we get to the fun part. Aldera and Ionia, they were at war last turn with a skirmish incident. Now they're properly at war. I helped facilitate a spy action with Ionia, since Ionia proceeded to poison Raythump with rum that they smuggled in. And so Raythump was now on a ticking timer for the next turn or two before they perished properly and ended the war that way of having a sane leader. But Raythump became even stupider than he could be. And there was a lot of fun watching these low meta fights here between just Ionia and Uldred. That was more
Yeah.
so to be expected during the start of the game.
Yeah, they had like sailing ships and siege engine looking things, like nothing competitive, although Ionia ended up going a bit into the missile meta territory later on.
Okay, Ionia ended up doing a quite fun thing, but it was still, again, a lot of missiles,
Yeah.
which was they had balloons with laser designators and then other units with laser guided missiles,
Oh, I thought the
which
balloons had some of both.
I believe the balloons might have had some missiles themselves,
Okay.
but I definitely know that was also a thing, I'm pretty sure.
Gotcha. But yeah, this
It will
war continues on to I think to the end of the game.
It continues on to the end of the game. We have more Golden Wing fights with Zaftra, Eon Hive, and Remelia.
Yep, down here, Golden
Remelia
Wing.
actually takes in a Golden Wing fleet to do some roleplay with them, whereas Eon Hive does more fighting with the Golden Wings themselves. Which, by the way, apparently a fried chicken maker, like a nomadic fried chicken maker, I think.
I did not know that lore.
All I'm that you can blame Raycast for this, but when they finish the fight with Golden Wing, they get the recipe for the Golden Wing fried chicken. So I
Interesting.
guess they're sort of like the KFC of the universe.
Huh.
Remelia is also fighting Kayatari on this turn as well,
Yes, that
and
was.
Kayatari does bad.
Yeah, Kayatari went on the offensive with a lot of big stuff, and have they used their nukes yet? I think they did.
They attempted to.
Yeah. Uh,
However, they were intercepted successfully over the water,
yeah. All of the nukes that they
and
tried to use just got intercepted and went to nothing.
which, by the way, they had these nukes since the start of the game.
Yes, and they hadn't produced any more. They had like exactly 6 nukes that they could ever use, and all of them got burnt.
Yep, and also Remelia disarmed their nukes
Yes.
in accordance with Mahabra very early into the game.
Oh yeah, very true.
So Kayatari was not using battle tested, battle proven designs, and they just had more. It didn't go well.
Yep, but this fight went
Uh,
back and forth for a little while, but ultimately Rumelia comes out on top.
it went on for another turn, but Remelia would ultimately win.
Yep.
And I believe that's all. We've already mentioned the bunnies in the hole.
Yep. On to turn 19 then.
On to turn 19, which is a very quick turn overall.
Yep. We see Tehurpet got restored and the alliance withdraws.
I set up a bounty battle here with the true Talactites for
Yes.
one more big battle for everyone, so that way we could have some fun. So I set up for Sector 7 so they could have a big fleet battle and Krasnar 2. We had 3 big battleships in that fight, and I was very happy. Over in high meta, we have the Singular Coil, ginormous mega fight over the throne. The harbor is just being occupied by Brick,
Yeah.
but they're not occupied anymore since they end the war at
Because
this
of
point
the
in time.
treaty.
But
Yep.
yeah, because of the treaty. But Brick just kind of has it for now.
Yeah.
The fight of the throne, they managed to win, but it was actually somewhat close if I remember correctly, as they were
Yeah.
actual like high meta designs before Fallacy left the team,
True.
or
Yeah,
was
that was
essentially
a chaotic battle.
yeah. Especially since we had to pull in a bunch of different faction designs for that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Rumelia fights. Yeah, Rumelia Kayatari war is finished over there, and they will eventually culminate into United. I believe it's literally just Rumelia Kayatari.
Yeah, we'll see that on the
Yeah, the
next round.
Republic.
Meanwhile, more fighting between these two, and the war
Yep,
gradually turns very much in the favor of Ionia as a lot of
it
the big
turns.
Aldrich fleets get crunched.
Yep, and I believe this is the turn that Rayfump eats uranium, which
Sure to help
is
his health.
it surely helped his health as we now go towards the final turn.
Turn 20.
And with the help of Sector 7, we now have the Zenixel Autonomous Sector.
Yep, they're back on the map,
They're back on the map.
and they even have a river.
We even have a river with Kriegville. And look, the frogs are still alive.
Yep.
The frogs made it all the way. These guys didn't make it from the start of the game to the end of the game, but they were one of my more veteran units.
Yep. So yeah, Sector 7 had a big win by the end because you've got the Southern Sector, Sector 7, the Western Autonomous Sector, and Zenixel. So they're a 4 sector large empire with pretty good holdings.
Yes. The King of Aldria dies, and Ionia and Aldria wipe peace now that the Mad King Rayfump is over.
Yep.
We also have a fight between the quote unquote mid meta at best Mahabra and Eon and Zaftra.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I want to state that everyone stated that Mahabra is mid meta at best. So mid meta at best Mahabra instantly annihilated Eon
Yeah.
and Zaftra in a combined fight. Which again, this is a four
Up here.
million
Yep.
size fight.
Yes, I
That was
called
arranged.
this that it would end up this way. That Mabara was going to wipe the floor, and yeah.
Yep. And we have just finishing up a few bounty battles, I believe,
Yep. Yeah. Here's the unified Rumo Kayatari.
towards the Sword Ecclesiarch. They're finishing up the support fleet over there. That's one
Yep.
of the few final fights.
A few final fights. Fleets
The
return
Black
home from
Wings.
there.
Yeah, singular coil Black Wings are being fought.
Brick gets repaired a little bit.
Brick is still over Mahabra because I believe at this point Mahabra is everyone gets tired of Mahabra and just goes over and takes them over properly rather
Yeah,
than
that's a good
leaving.
point. That happened too. Uh,
Yeah, so Mahabra is no longer given autonomy, especially
mhm.
since their leaders raptured themselves.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was meant to happen there. So there was a plan that they would open the gates to the like hell labyrinth that existed below Mabaraba, and then all sorts of evil designs would come out of there and fight everyone. But the players that were planning that weren't fully available for everything, and there was some lack of coordination
I
between them
want
and
to say
events.
that Mahabra, well, sorry, Mabaraba, I
Mabaraba,
can't
yeah,
say them. I can't say them. One of their key players that was meant to be here for the whole season just wasn't,
yeah. He
and
he
so it was
stopped being
left.
there. I think before the game even started.
He stopped being there, turn zero,
Yeah,
which just left it to two other players that were still in the faction, who also weren't really there. The
yeah,
most there player was Lyons,
yes,
who
always
wasn't
Lions.
very, who wasn't doing very well in body or spirit.
Yes, yeah. There was a lack of coordination there, as happened in many cases,
Yeah,
many such cases. But yeah, that is I think where turn 20 ended, unless you can think of anything else.
that is where 2020 ended. There, we didn't mention two whole NGOs because they ultimately wouldn't be of much significance. You can see one of them on the map with
Is it down here? Yeah,
uh, yeah,
that's
the
part of him.
recovery fleet with RDR, and there was another one that disappeared at some point. I don't even remember the name
There was
of.
one that was planned to happen but never got put on the map even. So.
Deepwater organization, I believe, because they didn't change the law.
Oh,
I don't.
I think they were just one that applied. I don't know if they ever.
I believe there was just a nation that applied, but there might have
Okay.
been another.
Yeah, there was one other
Um,
one that we planned on having joined later, but the guy ended up being too busy. So.
yes, and you will notice that the ISF didn't particularly do whole much for the rest of the game, but that's because Spoon was not having did not have enough spoons.
Yeah, I know he did have a fight that we missed with Zaftra somewhere down here,
Yeah, I believe he had a fight with Zafra that we
over
missed, but
this deposit, I think,
yes,
and a fight with well, at least one of these two.
yeah, I believe they had a fight with Ionia and Aldria. I believe Aldria specifically.
Yep. But to move on
So
to the last map, here's the one without fleet, so you can see all the territory.
and we ended up with, let's see, that's one. Let's see, we lost a nation. We lost another nation because that got consolidated to another one. We lost Chorus.
Yep, Chorus,
Fick,
Voltov, and Black, whoever, Black Empire
Chorus,
were
Voltava, Black
gone.
Empire. Technically Fick, but I believe Fick's still here on Midway.
Yeah, Fick has a little bit of presence.
Yeah. Zenixa got killed and resurrected,
Hmm.
um, but is essentially a puppet state under Sector 7.
Yep.
So we lost quite a few nations, and a lot of players were also bled through at this point. Only the real veterans stuck around, so to speak.
Hmm.
Since Brick had a lot of players that were then less available as time went on, Mjaltir's player base was cut significantly afterwards,
Yep.
and were becoming less interested due to drama.
Hmm. Yep.
And
Which
of
I did not
course,
fully address as soon as I should have. So
yes,
that.
especially and a lot of people went from being players in the nations to being event help,
Yes.
such as the Republic of Remelia Kayatari, one of
Yeah,
the key players
Sir,
from there,
and then
joined.
you from
I joined.
Zinixel, and then
Fallacy joined
Graver
from
from
Mjaltir.
yeah, and then, yep, and Fallacy from Mail too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was this. I'm gonna run all the way back to the beginning so we can see the whole progression in one neat little burst that someone can clip if they'd like to. Um, Truly incredible.
Really.
And yeah,
Uh,
huge amount of fun and huge amount of stress and terribleness as well in in balanced parts. But I just
That
wanted to,
was there
yeah,
was multiple times where, due to the times the battles were happening, I did not get sleep.
yeah. Uh, this was a busy season as always. I look forward to not running the Promethean Directive.
You
I
look forward to playing in the Promethean Directive.
yes, yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes through with that, and we can all have a good time there, exporting everything to Boat and Tarnish, plus the event help team.
Yes.
But yeah, that'll end this video. Thank you all for watching, and for those of you who played, thank you for playing. And those of you who didn't cause too many problems, thank you for not causing too many problems. For
And
everyone
if you're
else,
Bongo, you don't get any of this.
it was still good to have everyone, though, as the season would have been less interesting, I would say, without most people,
It would be less
even the
interesting.
troublemakers.
Yeah. If you can contain yourselves more so for next season. But if we can still have a lot of fun stuff to happen.
Yes, looking for less drama in season 3, please.
Please.
But okay, thanks for watching. See y'all next time.